So it's Monday. What I wanted to do is I wanted to just kind of briefly go over this bike and some of the stuff that we actually did to it because, a lot of it people didn't see because we couldn't show you the whole thing. It would have took too long. And I watched Sean's video and I watched Craig's video. And I think the bikes that they're working on are cool bikes too. Some of the differences, I believe, I really haven't. I've seen one of the bikes that Sean had was that Triumph, and I had that same exact Triumph, which was very cool bike. And what I like Greg's bike, the color was phenomenal, and I think he did a great job on that. I just want to touch on the difference between building bikes, the bikes that they're building or restoring or whatnot. Pretty much the difference is a lot of the stuff that they're doing is pretty much bolt-on stuff. So a lot of the stuff that we did here is hand fabricated. And because this is a Yamaha, which is totally different than a Harley, evidently, it was a lot more work to cut and fit everything else. And I think that we had to be pretty delicate, not to affect a lot of the structural integrity of the bike. But this was a big, wide bike, and we had to do a lot that was behind the scenes, and I think that, starting with the fender that was on there, if you watch the video, these bikes have a cast iron plate, whatever you want to call it, that comes around like this here. And if you watch the video, you would have seen that. That's a cast. That was a cast. So if you look, we mounted this fender to the swing arm, which is the pivot point, and it moves with the pivot point, where when you have these brackets on here, that attaches to the fender and the tire goes up and down and the fender stays stationary. This look is more of a chopper look, what they call a rigid frame. The only way that you can get this look and not use a rigid frame is mount this fender right to this swing arm so it goes up and down with it. So some of the challenges were, it's a totally different width fender. It's more chopperish. So chopperish, is that the way you say that, Jim?
Yeah, it sounds good.
So what we did over here, because it's a wide bike and there was so much stuff exposed, is we cut this off completely. And if you look at it, it was all welded and grinded and blended. And this plate here we put on here for two reasons: to carry the seat. So if you look at the seat, if we sat it flat here, it would be too much of a pitch, and sitting on it, you would slide off it. So we mounted this plate here. And also, it covers up a lot of the wires that are underneath that. And also in here, we had to cut this plate here. We had to weld this plate on, and we had to cut it around the fender. So if you look at a top view, this is notched out around the fender so that we could have something to mount to the fenders too. So there's a bracket on here with two connections on it that holds the back of the fender. And then over here, what we did was we built this sissy bar. We didn't build it specifically for this bike, but it fit. If it didn't fit, we were going to build one. I like it. We weld the tabs on here, and this connects to the fender connects to the sissy bar. So now it's mounted here and mounted here. So there's quite a bit of fab work, even though it's pretty much a stock fender. We had to cut it, but there's still a lot of fabrication in this to make it work. We side mounted the plate over here, which is kind of more or less just a bolt on. The bike itself, sometimes it pays to know people, but I know there was kind of a question of how much I paid for the bike. The bike was they were asking, and they were a bunch of nice guys. They were asking 47 or whatever. And when I explained to them that all I had was $3,000 in the budget, because that's all we were allowed to spend to buy it. So they did sell it to me for $3,000, and it's in excellent shape. The chrome's nice. The pipes are nice. Whoever owned this bike, it was a nice bike. Definitely a nice bike. And I even liked it before we cut it up.
Right.
It was really a nice bike. So we had to mount the seat. Again, we made these brackets, fabricated all these brackets to make that work. We had to weld on a few brackets over here on the swing arm in order to mount this. So we made brackets for both sides, and we bolted it on. The gas tank. Actually, I just want to talk a little bit about the seat, because I think me, Mikey, and Jim had the most fun tearing that seat off of there. We could have watched the YouTube and found out that it was latched underneath there, but I'll tell you what, we had a ball. We had a good time with this bike, cutting stuff off. So that was a lot of the fun part. We didn't really have to do that, but also all underneath here is all the stuff that we cut out all in here, and then we had to clean it up. But to mount the tank, this is a aftermarket gas tank, but we still had to make it fit. So we had to drill, and the same thing with the seat. Okay, we had to weld tabs on there to match this the contour of this frame, and also with this we had to weld brackets on here and drill and tap holes to fit this. We changed the handlebars. I like these handlebars. They're more chopperish. And now the paint job, I think Sean touched on that. It's around a $10,000 paint job. Well, we have a great painter we've been using. What's the name of the other?
His name's Ken. We'll put it. We'll put his site up underneath.
We'll put his site up underneath there. But the difference is that we do probably 15, 20 paint jobs a year. So we work with the same person. So that's why we're able to do it for like almost a quarter of what he said that it should cost. The front end of this bike, all we did was stripped down. They had all those bulky lights and everything on there. We took all that stuff and stripped it down. I was thinking about changing the front end, but the front end, I really like the front end. It has a nicer look than a Harley front end, and everybody copies pretty much copies Harley. So that's pretty much what else do we do to this thing? But underneath here was a mess.
We had to chop a lot.
There was so many brackets because the gas tank that was on there was about that wide. So there was so much. I mean, there were days just cutting stuff off there and and blending it in to mount that tank. So yeah, it's a factory tank, but you still have to make it fit. You still have to weld. You still have to grind. I don't know again how capable those guys are doing that. To me, I think that a lot of the stuff, and I think even with Craig,
yeah.
I think he's bought a lot of aftermarket stuff that pretty much bolts on. Those guys are not really equipped so much to do that, but we build choppers. That's what we do. They do, especially Greg, I think he does just about every kind of bike, but they don't do a lot of welding. They don't do a lot of grinding. They don't do a lot of fitting. You know, this stuff it's not quite as simple as you think it is. A lot of stuff has to line up. We have to get this fender in the center of the frame, so the spacing changes. And if you look at the bike now, it really looks more, it looks like a bobber, I guess, but it's definitely chopperish. And my goal was to take that big bulky bike and make it look like a chopper. I think we all did a pretty good job of doing it, but if you watch the videos, the main thing you'll see is us having a good time. There was a lot of laughs. I did a lot of bonding with Michael. He had a great time. So I think the whole concept, which I wasn't so sure of in the beginning of having this build off, turned into a really fun project. So I think that's it, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Right now the battery is dead. Otherwise I'd start it for you, but it does run. It does run well. We didn't touch anything on the motor. The wiring's still stock, other than a few things that we had to change. So I just figured I'd walk you through that. The unveil is going to be
February 27th, which is a Thursday at the OCC Roadhouse.
Yeah. So I think that if you have an opportunity to get out there, I would get out there because I think the fun's just beginning. So we're looking forward to the build off. We're looking forward for the people to come out there and engage. It's going to be a people's choice, I believe. My charity is going to be the Hudson Valley SPCA for the animals.
Nice.
I'm not sure what theirs is, but I think the way it works is whoever wins gets half of what the other guys do for their
right. So every charity's going to have something.
Yeah. So it should be good. Another thing I want to touch on is I appreciate, we started doing this, 6 months ago?
Just about,
6 months ago, and I think we're doing pretty well. Our numbers are going up, but what I appreciate the most is the comments. People have been, I don't know what the word is for.
Really nice. Really nice.
Well, yeah, the comments have been great. A lot of people say that they like the YouTube videos better than they did the show. A lot less drama. I think that people have the opportunity to learn a little bit, as I build these bikes or whatever we're doing. I try to explain as much as I can, because I think that when people are watching something and there's no explanation for what they're doing, they have no idea what they're doing. And I think that, that isn't everything. I think people always enjoyed building the bikes, whether they knew what we were doing or not.
Right.
But I think that to be a little bit more informative, we've been doing that. So the only thing with this bike, I'm pretty excited about our new product here. Blam! This is a new product that we're putting out. It's a ceramic coating. It's incredible, right?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Where's the rag? Let me just.
Right in front of you there.
This it?
Yeah.
Okay. We're just going to spray a little bit on here. The bike's fairly clean, but we'll put a little bit here. Just a little dab will do you. And this actually coats, excuse me, it coats the paint. So it's just not like a wax. It is like a ceramic coating. So it lasts a lot longer and it's a lot cleaner once you wash the bike, because it doesn't really anything stick to it. So if you look, that baby shines,
Yeah, that's nice.
right?
Yeah, it's supposed to last up to 12 months.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
that's
12
amazing.
months. So yeah, so buy this. You better buy this. Okay, so and we're probably going to start coming out with our own products. We have the T-shirt. We have our T-shirt.
Yep.
We're going to do hats, a couple coffee mugs.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff coming.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff coming out. Also, our store will be open when, Jim? Do you have any?
Should be open by the end of this week.
By the end of the week, we'll have a store, so you could just go online, pick whatever you want, and buy whatever you want, and everything will be set up.
Yep, and the first 100 people to buy the T-shirt are going to get them signed by you.
Signed by me, maybe Mikey too.
Yeah.
So that'll be a whatchamacallit, an extra or something like that.
Yeah.
But subscribe, like, comment. Peace out.